Hey everyone, I wanted to share with you some of the things that helped me recover from chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and a whole host of other health conditions as well, but also some of the things that didn't help. And now I'm sharing this from my personal experience. So I'm not saying to anybody to not do these things or to do these things. I'm just saying what helped me and what didn't help me. And I encourage everybody to really, really listen to their own bodies and to really feel into what is helping my body, not what helped someone else's, what helped loads of other people. Um, what's not helping someone else's, what the person down the street thinks will help, whatever it is to really start to listen to your own body and what is helping you in this moment. And don't push through, don't keep doing something just because someone else said you should. Part of our healing journey and of healing the nervous system in itself is to listen to the body and to start really listening to what it needs. And that's your personal body, not everybody's bodies. So one of the big things that had a massive shift and really helped me on so many levels was reading and watching recovery stories. Now, when I first started doing this, I was reading and watching recovery stories from people with chronic fatigue syndrome. But then it kind of escalated, and I started reading and watching recovery stories from anything. People that had come back from the dead, like Anita Borjani, people. The Miracle Man is an amazing story that I highly recommend anyone watch if they're losing hope. It's fantastic, and I could do a whole video just about that. But people that were had terminal cancers and all sorts of other things, that have been um, disabled and stuff like that, and that doctors and specialists and people said there's no hope. There's no hope for them, and that they turned it around and completely changed their lives. So I started reading those sorts of things. Like I said, not just from CFS. The CFS ones are very, really interesting to get an idea of how people do it. But I started reading and watching any recovery story from anything because I thought if these people can recover from this stuff, I can recover from CFS. Yeah, so that's a really major part I felt of my recovery, of turning my beliefs, my feelings about recovery around. And then obviously I did a lot of, I say obviously, but you will have seen there's a whole playlist of it on YouTube, of EFT, tapping, emotional freedom technique, whatever name you're going to call it. Now, when I first started doing this, I couldn't even hold my arm up to do it. I had to prop my arm up on pillows and kind of do this kind of thing. But over the years as well, I've devised an easier way of doing it rather than this very heady, very complicated way that is standard, that is taught as standard for this therapy. So if you haven't tried it or it's you thought it was a bit too much for you, then I urge you to look for my video, The Easy Way to Tap, which I will try and remember to put the link for below. If I don't, then somebody tell me off and I will put it. But it's in the tapping playlist on YouTube. Visualization was a big thing for me as well. Now, after reading The Miracle Man, who visualizes himself being able to walk and talk and breathe and eat again, um, I realized the importance of it. And I also, that was part of what I took away from the Gupta process that I did, or the Gupta technique, was the visualization. And I really think that when we're negatively thinking all the time about our bodies, our lives, that kind of thing, we're doing the opposite of visualization. So it's a really powerful practice to flip that, but also our body doesn't know the difference between imagined and real. So when we start to imagine really vividly something happening, like us running a marathon or something, the body actually starts to make changes to make that happen. So I started visualizing in the last couple of years of being ill. I started visualizing every day, a couple of times a day, actually, at the beginning or ends of meditations and things, me walking mountains and also walking the Camino de Santiago, both of which I ended up doing after recovering. So, I really think there is a lot of power in visualization, but it has to really be really vivid. You're looking down at your body, you can see what you're wearing, the colors, all that kind of thing. And again, there are videos about this in on my playlist on YouTube. Nervous system regulation is a massive, massive part of recovering, I think, from just about anything. And that comes, like, some things already tap on that, as tapping, touch on that. So, things like tapping and meditation and things like that are helping your nervous system. They're not gonna do the deep work, though, and to do that, then you really need to be looking at other things like focusing, um, uh, one-to-one therapies, that kind of thing, um, somatic, somatic, somatic work, and really kind of work daily on being kinder to yourself and bring regulation to the body, on doing things like the nervous system soothing techniques, which are a video on my YouTube as well, which again I'll try and remember to put the link for below. So yeah, that's like the work to do, is to really focus on regulating the nervous system above almost all else. Fermented foods and drinks were a huge part as well, and also still a massive obsession now. Really helping to heal that digestive system, to get loads of probiotics in, to get loads of nutrients in, and to have a better relationship with food too. Then making dietary changes that are adrenally supportive, they're also then nervous system supportive. So that would be not having foods that spike the blood sugars. And remembering this is only temporary until you've healed as well. It doesn't have to be lifelong. So, avoiding things like coffee and tea and green tea and maca and cacao and chocolate and processed sugars and lots of white carbs and lots of high sugar fruits, bananas, papaya, mango, that kind of thing, and really looking to have things that are much more balancing, slow releasing, to help support those adrenals and nervous system and everything else. Then meditation and prayer, because it's bringing us into a much more healing space. It helps the body to recover, particularly if you're not sleeping very well, as well. But remember, if you're doing it in a very forced, I must do this, I must have a clear mind, that kind of thing, then it's not going to be that helpful for you. So just consider the mood and the energy that you're doing it with. And then addressing a yeast and parasite overgrowths in the body, which then has a huge impact on the hormones and the immune system, your energy levels, your brain fog, all sorts of things. So that's quite important, but mustn't be too intense of a detoxification. If you're still in a very sensitive place where your nervous system is still very dysregulated, then it's something that should come after that, because it can be quite intense. But if that is something that resonates with you, then I have a book on that called Cleanse, which you can find links for below the video. And then, yeah, I think that's most of the things that actually helped me. But some of the things I did that didn't help me personally, We're taking lots of medications from the doctors and specialists and consultants and things like that. Actually, that made me a lot worse, and I was getting side effects from those things as well, and then having to take more medications for that. I think it's very difficult for us to be in touch with our nervous system, with our body, when we are taking a lot of prescription or non-prescription medications in some way. But sometimes, some people need that support for a while. Also, for me, the Gupta program didn't work, or other similar programs like that, where it was this kind of very kind of stop your thinking kind of thing. For me, that personally isn't supportive of helping to heal and regulate the nervous system. And yeah, that's as much as I'll say about that for now. And yeah, I did take away though visualization from the Gupta program, and that, like I said, was immensely helpful. Perin technique, for me, that was a very intense technique that is meant to be gentle and is meant to be for people with CFS and similar problems. But every time I had a session, I felt horrendous for weeks or even months afterwards. But I kept pushing through, thinking, well, this is meant to help people, and it's been made specifically for people like me, so it'll work. But it was really bad, and I kept feeling like it really set me back. Pacing didn't work for me for lots of different reasons, but I think it's more about listening to our nervous system and our body than doing something in a very regulated way. CBT and other kind of talking therapies like that, other than like EFT, which is a talking and physical therapy anyway, definitely didn't help, because it made me think that there was something other wrong with me than that my nervous system and adrenals were screwed and I had CFS and a few other illnesses. Working with therapists that didn't have themselves CFS or fibromyalgia or something similar, I found every time knocked me back, because they had very little understanding of how the illness actually feels, and very little understanding of how much you could push yourself or not push yourself, and very little understanding of how just some simple change could have such a huge impact on my nervous system and on then how I felt for weeks, if not months afterwards. So that was a biggie for me, and I stopped working with anyone that hadn't actually had the same illness themselves. Being part of forums, Facebook pages, charities, events like that. I had a local ME charity that I was part of, and that was super lovely. But these big ones, I found people to be very negative, people to not actually be allowed or to talk about actually if they'd healed, like that wasn't possible. And if you did, then you were just ripped down. And I found those sorts of groups, and including the Facebook groups and things like that, really detrimental to my mental health and my belief that I could recover. So I just deleted them all and unsubscribed from memberships to charities and things like that. So if you're hanging out in a group like that, then maybe it's time to start a new group that's more positive and wants to focus on health, instead of, I don't know, staying within the rules of I don't know, whatever rules they are, where you're not allowed to speak about certain things. Another thing, Googling the next symptom, Googling the next problem, that, what's that now? What's this now? And then like having these horrendous options come up on the screen of other things that could be wrong with me. And it's sort of starting to add other illnesses, self-diagnosed illnesses, and mutations almost to the actual core problem. And I urge people not to keep self-diagnosing through Google and deciding they've got this and this and this, and just focus on helping mind, body, and nervous system as a whole instead, because that will fix or greatly positively influence any health condition anyway. And then self-prescribing pills, potions, lotions, the next supplement, the next whatever it is, based on, again, what people are saying online or some article I'd read that this is meant to help with energy, this is meant to help with muscle pain, this is meant to help with this. We keep doing that, we're going to just keep upsetting our nervous system, we're going to keep upsetting our digestive system. We're not helping ourselves. We have no idea how all these pills, potions, and lotions interact with each other, and it's expensive doing that as well. Keep trying the next thing. So again, I would be focusing more on regulating the nervous system, and then things like your digestive system and stuff like that will start to work more effectively anyway, and you will start to uptake the nutrients that you require anyway from the food that you're eating. And then the last thing I would say is pushing myself every time I had a little bit of energy, thinking, yes, I've got a tiny bit of energy today, and then doing what feels like a million things, and then saying to myself, oh, now I've crashed, when actually what I've done is I've just borrowed energy from the future. There's a recent video all about that. And I'm unfit, and I've actually just exhausted. It's not necessarily a crash, but we think it's a crash because we haven't done much compared to most people, but we have done a lot compared to what we are used to, and we're unfit. But then the thoughts of it being a crash start to fuel it being a crash. So that's it for me. That's all the things I can think of, the things that I found really helpful and the things that I found not so helpful. But please remember, like I said at the beginning, please don't go and like switch everything around really quickly. Your nervous system, if you're watching this, it probably means your nervous system is pretty screwed at the moment, and it can't deal with lots of changes. It can't deal with lots of shocks, including cold water therapy. So please don't be doing that. It just comes to my head. So it can't deal with all these things all the time, so just be kind and gentle and slow, and really listen to what your body needs and what is working for you. And you can't do that if you're trying a million different things all the time also. So yeah, that's all from me. If you have any questions at all, please let me know below, and I'll speak to you soon. Ciao.